Good afternoon, everyone. We want to bring you some breaking news out of Russia and what we know at this hour about a military coup that has unfolded against Vladimir Putin and the Russian Federation. This being led by the head of the private military army, the Wagner Group, Yevgeny Prigozhin, who has overnight called for an armed rebellion against the Russian Federation. Now, here's what we know. Here's what he has said publicly, that there was an attack on his position with a missile attack that came from the rear, came from behind, meaning Russian forces attacked his position. Russia says that's nonsense. It's completely unfounded. That did not happen. That's what he said. That's what they said. He called for an armed rebellion and a march towards Moscow. And that's exactly what has unfolded over the past number of hours. And so, folks, we now have a military coup inside of Russia. Any way you slice it, that's exactly what has happened. Vladimir Putin speaking to the nation just a few minutes ago, calling this a mutiny, and he said that twice. And moments ago, we saw footage of the Wagner army taking control of the National Guard and Russian military in the town of Rostov-on-Don. Patrick Lancaster is on his way to that town right now to give us a boots-on-the-ground report of what's actually happening, and he filed this report.
Hello, Redacted. This is Patrick Lancaster reporting to you from Russia. Right now I'm on the way to Rostov-on-Don. As you might have heard in the night, the Wagner group, or private military group, moved into Rostov, put up checkpoints, and took control of part of the city. Now, a lot of information has been going around, some false, some true, but the fact is, the Wagner Group did go in and take control of some areas, but what is also being misrepresentative is the fact that they do not control the full city of Rostov. In fact, it's a small part of the center. It appears that they control, but there are areas that are controlled by Wagner, but there are definitely areas that are controlled by the Russian military. There's been a lot of events through the morning and early afternoon with the Wagner Group in Russia. At one point, it was shown that there were and are anti-tank mines lining some of the streets near the military equipment in the center. So that's definitely not a good thing when we see anti-tank mines in a residential area. But we can see that Wagner seems to be moving to blockade some of the official buildings of the military in Rostov, making demands to the authorities in the head of the Ministry of Defense and in Moscow. The Ministry of Defense and the authorities and the FSB, our Secret Service of Russia, is calling this a rebellion by the Wagner Group, and particularly the head of the Wagner Group, Prigozhin. And things have escalated not just in Rostov, but north in other parts of Russia as well. In the Voronezh region this morning, there was fighting reported. Some of these reports are yet to be unconfirmed, but some are. It is unconfirmed that there was up to 3 Russian aircraft that were shot out of the sky by the Wagner group, while there was a sporadic military confrontation between the Air Force and a column of Wagner military vehicles, which at that time was reported to be around 170 military units or military vehicles of different types. As the day went on, even Russian and military journalists started referring to this as an attempted coup and treason by the people that were taking part of this in the Wagner Group, particularly, again, the head of the Wagner Group, Prigozhin. Now, again, the Minister of Defense and authorities in Moscow are calling for the soldiers of the Wagner Group to stop taking orders from the leaders of the Wagner Group and actually arrest him. Now, it does not appear that has happened yet because there's still soldiers from Wagner in the streets controlling areas of Rostov. Now, in the early afternoon, there was a report of an explosion in the center of Rostov, or particularly quote-unquote loud bangs. And as the time went on, it became clear that what that was a type of a crowd control being done by the Wagner Group. They're said that there was some sort of explosive or pyrotechnic unit used to disperse the crowd in conjunction with several warning shots. Now, Vladimir Putin, the president of Russia, had made an emergency statement to the country this morning as well, where he called for unity, consolidation, and responsibility of things that have gone wrong. He says their actions are done to protect the, he's talking about the Russian actions, done to protect the Russian motherland from such a threat, and that will be tough. Now, the question at the time, was he talking about the Wagner Group or talking about the threat from Ukraine? And he says that he will not let civil war happen again, and he will protect his people and statehood from that. And he implied strongly that Prigozhin was a traitor to the country. Now, since then, the Minister of Defense have made it pretty darn clear that Prigozhin is considered a traitor and guilty of treason. Now, the column of Wagner has continued north from the Vorozhin region and gone into the Lipetsk region south of the Moscow region, and now there are many varying reports of the size of this column. Some reported as 150 military vehicles, some reported up to 400 Wagner military vehicles, but it seems that they are headed in the direction of Moscow, and we can assume that there is still sporadic fighting between them and the Russian Air Force and possibly Russian ground forces. Now, photos and videos have emerged of tractors digging trenches in the roads heading to Moscow, assumably to stop the progression of the Wagner military vehicles. Now, back to the Rostov direction, it has been seen and reported that there is a large column of Chechen military vehicles up to a couple of kilometers long coming from the direction of the Donetsk People's Republic area of the war zone and heading to Rostov, assumably have been directed by Moscow to take care of or take out the Wagner occupation, you could call it, of Rostov. Now, the question is, well, it's a fact that there are Russian troops in Rostov, so why is Chechen troops coming? Well, we'll see what happens, but it's reported they could be there in as little as a couple hours. So we're going to keep on this story and keep bringing you all the facts. So we're going to continue to just show you exactly everything that's been going on, but this is a special update from Russia on the way to Rostov, so I can show you exactly what's happening on the ground, so you don't have to rely on the Western mainstream media to twist these facts. I'm here in Russia to show you exactly what's happening. This is Patrick Lancaster updating you for Redacted.
Thanks to Patrick for that report, and we will continue to monitor the situation. Again, it's going to be very important to see what kind of propaganda is being foisted upon you by the mainstream media that do not have any reporters in the area whatsoever, and they're getting information from intelligence services that are feeding them the type of narrative that they want out to the public right now. Anyway, it's a fluid situation. We will bring you updates as we have them.